Hello, everyone out there in Rumble X and YouTube land. Welcome back to Diego Knows. I, of course, am Diego. And today we're going to talk about Housemaid, The Housemaid, which came out last year, December of 2025. It is now January 2026. Now, this movie apparently is the one that's got every woman out there excited, every white, middle-aged, what's her name? Sydney Sweeney wannabe out there excited. Okay, it's an erotic thriller, based on an erotic thriller book, which is a series of books, okay, by a fake woman using a fake name. Okay, but apparently it does the job. Okay, and I've never read the book. I'm never going to read the book. Okay, I'm not going to. All right, but I did see this movie, and I saw it in a theater. I paid to go see it. I saw it in a theater. Okay, and I mean the plot holes in this thing, you could fly a 747 through. Okay, this movie requires you to turn your brain off. Okay, now you can make an argument like a guy movie, like a special effects movie, or something like Fast and the Furious. You have to turn your brain off on that too. Of course you do, yes. Okay, but you go in there knowing that this is not the real world. It's not trying to be the real world. Okay. It's an incredible world where you can kill people and still be a good guy. You can you can murder relatives. You can murder like people's like children and stuff, and still like be an ally of the main hero, and stupid stuff like the international politics and secret organizations. You're a criminal, and then some rogue government agency wants to recruit you as an operative. This is a crap. Okay, it's a load of crap. James Bond crap. Okay, full of talking shit and driving fast cars. Okay, and explosions and over the top gay bad guys. I mean, they'll spend hundreds of millions of dollars to orchestrate blowing up a dam and two tanker trucks to get to manipulate someone to be standing on the exact right spot. When the tanker trucks blow up to demolish the dam that's going to flood you. And I was like, this is all you need is one bullet aimed from a distance, and boom, that's it. Mission accomplished. But of course not. You can't sell a movie like that. Okay, so you're required to turn your brain off at the door. You're required to, when you've got these ghetto fools out in space. Okay, it's just ridiculous. All right, and that's what this is. Okay, that's it. This now, Fast and Furious is kind of stale right now. So this is a bad example. I think the more you keep pushing reality, the less your audience is going to be like, okay, at one point. When we watched the original Fast and the Furious, okay, the original one from like 2000, okay, yes, it was a remake of Point Break. It most definitely was a remake of Point Break with Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze, okay? It's the exact same script. All they did is they took they took some white out. Where it said surfer, they put down drag racer. Okay, where they had bank robbers, they erased that and put down, DVD hijackers. Okay, well, they put down the main antagonist ex-girlfriend, put down sister. Okay, where he puts down the protagonist as an FBI agent going undercover. Erase that, put down he's a cop going undercover. It's ridiculous. All right, it's the same fucking movie. Okay, but in the first one there. Okay, it was out there, it was, and there were some unbelievable elements, but it kind of like it wasn't so crazy that you'd be like, okay, this is happening on an alternate universe. Okay, it wasn't that bad, but as the movies progressed, they started getting more and more ridiculous. Okay, and then they get The Rock in there, and they get the South American drug lords, and then you've got like this hacker, this international hacker, and then you've got the brothers that are, like it's ridiculous. Okay, like in one of these movies, one man murders an entire hospital staff. One man murders an entire hospital by himself. What the hell? Okay, so it gets crazy. Okay, so by that time, you're like, okay, if as long as you go in there knowing what you're going to get. Okay, this is a cartoon. It's a comic book. It's not real. Okay, it's just a bunch of talking shit and family and all that kind of crap. Okay, it's all about Vin Diesel's ego. He's got to look good in the movie, because because nobody wants to hire him to do anything else. So that's all he's got is this franchise. He got nothing else, and it's not for lack of trying. I mean, he tried to start a whole bunch of IPs. He tried to start a whole bunch of franchises in the late 2010s and stuff, and the early 2000s, but nothing stuck. I remember there was Bloodshot, and there was, what was it, the Witcher's Night or some shit or something. I don't remember, the Witch Hunter or some crap like that. I mean, he tried. He tried really hard to start franchises, okay? But nobody really wanted to see him except as Dominic Toretto, so that's pretty much all he's got. That's it. There's nothing else. So, but the movies got crazy. Okay, so you got to turn your brain off at the door. And I saw the last one from a couple of years ago with Jason Momoa as this closeted homosexual guy trying to get revenge on Toretto and his family. I mean, it's just, this is ridiculous now. Okay, now it's ridiculous. You got John Cena in there, the brother that you never ever heard about before, but all of a sudden he just shows. It's ridiculous. You got Lost Brothers, you got Evil Twins, you got Prison Breaks, earthquake machines, and it's just ridiculous. Okay, it's just freaking ridiculous. Okay, but I guess kids like it or something, whatever. Okay, so it's got its fan base, but any reasonable adult is not going to look at a Fast and Furious movie and be like and take it seriously. It's not serious. It's meant to be like a parody. It's a parody now of what action movies were. Okay, it's a parody of a thinking man's action movie. Now it's just a cartoon. Okay, I mean, at one point Vin Diesel's in his Dodge or whatever, and he's getting catapulted, and he's in the car in the driver's seat, and the vehicle, the car gets like it gets like a grappling line, turns it around through and flings it through the air, and it crashes against a wall. Then it lands on his tires, and Vin Diesel keeps driving. And when the car like crashes against the wall, he's just like, and then he gets right back on the road and keeps driving like nothing happened. Like, what the hell, dude? Okay, when a car smashes into a brick wall like that, you don't just and then just keep driving. That anything with the force enough to propel a car that fast, that heavy, that fast against an immovable object is not going to be a and then just keep driving, with no injuries. I mean, this is ridiculous. Just stuff like that. Just like that is crazy, But you get that, okay? You go in there knowing that, which is why a lot of people quit watching those movies, is because, okay, come on. This is just dumb now. Okay, this is just dumb, okay? Well, it took several movies to get to that point. The first movie I enjoyed it, even though, like I said, it was a ripoff of Point Break. Okay, I never saw the second one. The third one, I saw part of it. Okay, and then like when they brought the gang back together in Fast and Furious, whatever, part 4, then it started getting like, okay, now they're setting a tone here. Now we know where they're going with this and stuff. And they just kept adding on to that, adding more characters and stuff like that. The Jason Statham's, The Rock and all that. They started adding more people, okay, to that. What's her name? Charlize Theron. Just start adding all these characters in there. What do you call Gal Gadot and all that kind of stuff, right? So then it started to go crazy and off the rails, but it didn't start off that way, and that's the point I'm making. It didn't start off that way. There's a big difference between Fast and Furious Part 1 and Fast and Furious Part, Fast 5 or Fast 6 or any of that, okay? They just get progressively, they get more ridiculous, okay? This movie, the Housemaid, okay, this movie is already ridiculous from the first movie, okay? From the very first movie. Any woman out there with a brain would not believe this crap. Okay? Now if you're a 12-year-old girl or something like that and you're watching this movie, what the hell's wrong with you? Where are your parents? Okay? But only someone with that level of intelligence would really get off on this movie. Okay? This movie, from a logical point of view, it makes absolutely no sense. It's not believable. There's no verisimilitude. It would never happen in real life. Any adult human being with half a brain would never agree, okay, to the situations that are presented into this movie, especially when the main character, Millie, she voluntarily puts herself into these situations, okay, these circumstances. She walks in there, okay, when anyone would be like, no, what the hell are you doing? Why are you still working there? Okay? I don't give a shit that, that your parole officer says you'll go to jail. You go back to jail to do 5 years if you get fired or something. Okay, that right there is ridiculous. Just get another job. But why are you still working there? What the hell are you still working there? There are places out there that can help an ex-con. There's places out there that will help an ex-con get a job. Okay? It's not like there's not people out there that are desperate to hire people no matter what their background is. There is. Okay? There's organizations that will help you do that. Okay? So, the fact that, one place that you get hired at, it doesn't work out, is not a death sentence. Okay? This is just beyond my ability to deal with. Good luck with someone else. Any normal person would have done that. I don't care how much pressure they had to keep a job, or else they're going to go back to jail. I don't care about that. Okay? It's ridiculous. Okay? Any parole officer would understand that as well. No parole officer is going to put someone back in jail when they find out that their employer are a bunch of weirdos and she doesn't feel safe. Okay, once you raise that flag, I don't feel safe working there, so I'm going to have to turn this job down. I'm going to have to quit this job because I don't feel safe working there. Okay, that's it. Okay, fine. You got to get another job. They're not going to be, oh, now you're going to go to jail. No, that's ridiculous. No judge would ever enforce that. You see what I mean? So right there, it's implausible. The whole situation is implausible. Okay, so once you remove that there's no way in hell that anybody would force you to do 5 years in prison because you turned down a job. Now the rest of the movie makes no sense. Okay? It's kind of like this, like the main character Millie is being pressured to work for this psycho family, this psycho woman, when in fact she could leave at any time she wants. She's not a prisoner yet. You see what I mean? There's so many opportunities for her to say, no, this ain't right for me. I can't do this. I'm sorry. I appreciate the offer, but I can't deal with your mood swings. I can't deal with your kid. I can't deal with your husband. Okay. I can't deal with any of this. Okay. The isolation. Okay. It's just, I don't feel comfortable here. Okay. I would rather work somewhere where I feel safe. You see what I mean? That would make sense. That's what any woman would do, but no one thinks of that in this movie. They just keep feeding you this shit sandwich and tell you, hey, keep eating. It'll start to taste better later. Just keep eating, okay? And it's ridiculous, okay? I've seen enough. I can see manipulation. The best movies are the ones that manipulate you without you even realizing it. Okay, this movie has so many. It telegraphs everything. So you're okay. Well, that's going to come back. This stuff's supposed to be seamless. You're not supposed to know. You're supposed to just be entertained and mesmerized and hypnotized by a movie. You're not supposed to be like, okay, I know where that's going. Okay, that means this. Okay, and then as the movie progresses, yep, I was right. Yep, when they did this, it meant this was going to happen, and sure enough, it did happen. Okay, you see what I mean? And that's not a good movie. That's not a good script. I never read the book. I don't know about the book. Okay, I'm just talking about the movie. Okay, this is not believable. Okay, this is a Sydney Sweeney trying everything she can because she knows she ain't gonna be pretty and sexy forever. So while she is the it girl right now, she's got to make all these damn movies, and hopefully one of them will stick. She'll either get a critical award for it, like a Golden Globe or something, or it'll be a blockbuster, So now she can demand more money on her next movies, that kind of thing. Okay, so you get more exposure. You see what I mean? Because the only thing that's kept Sydney Sweeney relevant, okay, despite all of her flops, and most women, once you've had 3 flops in a row, that's it. 3 strikes, you're out. Okay, I don't care who you are. Okay, 3 strikes and you're out. Okay, you're going back to doing TV, or you're going to start a podcast or some shit. Okay, or you're going to be on a soap opera or something. Okay, you're done. Okay. You might be a recurring character on a CSI season or some shit like that. That's it. Okay, that's how Hollywood is. And there's less jobs now in Hollywood than there was before. Okay, because Hollywood's going bankrupt. Okay, it's going under. There's no work anymore. Okay, so the only thing that saved Sydney Sweeney from that was she actually should have been canceled. She should have been, blacklisted last year. The only reason she's still around is because of that jeans ad she did. Okay, all the controversy with that. Oh, I got great jeans. Here's a woman acting sexy for a jean commercial, okay? And it caused so much controversy. They sold a shitload of jeans, okay, because of that ad. Because they actually had a sexy woman acting feminine, acting sexy. Telling, oh, I look great in these jeans or some shit or whatever. We all saw it, right? Okay, it's because of that. Okay, that men, I mean, men buy jeans. Women, and feminists don't want you to know this shit because feminists and gay guys control Hollywood. And they don't want you, ladies, they don't want you to know this, okay? They don't want you to be sexy. They don't want you to be feminine, okay? You know why? Because it attracts men. It attracts straight men are attracted to women that look good and act like women. Unfucking believable. Unfucking believable. And if a woman figures out that, I look sexy in that woman looks sexy in those jeans, I want men to look at me the way they're looking at her, so I'm going to get those jeans too. Boom. The women are going to the store. Because feminism does not want women to know, okay, that, that certain things that they do attract men. They don't want you to know that. Women got to be boss bitches. They got to be the ones in charge. Because if men are attracted to you, okay, it's a form of losing power. You see what I mean? It's a form of a man just looking at you for what you look like instead of your brain or what your accomplishments are. Okay? Whether or not you're the CEO of a company. Do you own your own business? Do you drive a Rolls Royce? Okay? Do you own your own house? Okay? Because if you don't, you're not a real woman. And that's bullshit. We all know it's bullshit. Guys don't care about that stuff. But that's not what feminists want the average woman to do. Okay, when they see a woman like Sydney Sweeney, a woman who is unapologetically straight, she's not even bisexual, okay? She loves to look like a fucking woman, okay? No short hair, no fucking boss bitchiness, I'm a man, my cock's bigger than yours, okay? None of that shit, okay? She likes to act like a girl, okay? She's attracted to men. She's very polite in her interviews, okay? She doesn't come across as some fucking, man-hating bitch, like a lot of women do on their interviews, okay? Or some entitled cunt, okay? All right, so her image, I'm not saying that she's not a cunt in real life. She might very well be, but she doesn't promote that. Her image, that's not part of her image. You see what I mean? Her image is I'm a strong, tough woman and I like men. Which tells us as a man, it tells us, oh, this woman will let me lead her. This woman will let me take her hand and, hey, let's go somewhere, Whereas your typical feminist, like, no, I'm the leader, okay? You're the submissive and I'm the leader, okay? I make the decisions around here, okay? That's feminism, okay? Men are not allowed to be men. Men are supposed to be the women, you see? And we don't want to be the women. We're not going to put ourselves there. But we're not in charge of Hollywood, are we? Okay, so all our representation is going to be, that's what you're going to get. The beta male simp, the guy in the cut chair, okay? The guy who gets off on watching his wife fuck all these real men, okay? That's what they've done to us. That's how they want to project us, okay? And this movie's no different, okay? In this movie, men are all portrayed as stupid, evil, or cowards, or a combination of those three, okay? Stupid, evil, or they're cowardly, okay? And that's all. That's not just this movie. That's Hollywood in general, okay? They won't make a movie that has a man not fit into those categories, okay? Because the last thing Hollywood wants is strong, smart, brave, intelligent men. They don't want that. They don't want to see a man who gets hit with all this shit and still comes out on top. Okay? You see, they don't want that. Okay, they want that for women. They don't want that for men. So that's why Hollywood keeps giving us women that are so strong and tough and independent. Okay? And this movie's no different. This movie's all about women finding their inner strength to fight back against the evil patriarchy, okay, which is code for all men in general. You see what I mean? Okay, and that's just a load of shit. Okay, that's just a load of shit. Okay, most men are wonderful people. Okay, I'm not a perfect human being. Okay, but I know I'm a good guy. I know I have value. Okay, I know how I treat people, and I know how I like to be treated. Okay, I respect people. Okay. And there's several people that I love, all right? And I don't go out of my way hurting women. That's not my fucking job, okay? Most of us don't think that way. Very few men think that way, but you'd never know that by watching movies like this, okay? Because this movie's all about getting your emotions riled up. Okay, that's why women like this shit, like a soap opera. You got to go from being angry to being fucking horny to being, sad to being depressed to being happy and excited to being, horny again. Okay, it's the emotional roller coaster. Okay, this movie, that's its purpose. It's for the women because women are more emotional than men. They are, and so they want to play with your feelings throughout the whole movie. Okay, and call that entertainment. Okay, but once but me, I'm a guy. I know how to manage my emotions. Okay, so once I see this and I see exactly what they're doing and how they're doing it, I'm just like, this is stupid. This makes no fucking sense. And it's not just it's Sex in the City. I reviewed every episode of Sex in the City. It's on this channel. All the chick flicks I review. Okay, the best chick flicks are the ones where you don't see the strings. You don't see the puppet master pulling the strings. Okay, this movie you can't get your eyes off of it. Okay, you see exactly when they're trying to get you to feel a certain way and exactly how they're doing it. Okay? They're using shortcuts and hoping you don't notice. Okay? And to me, that's bad filmmaking. That is bad filmmaking. Okay? It just is. Okay? I can totally see what they're trying to do here. Okay? It's just a load of shit. All right? So anyway, let's get into the movie here. I already told you about who's in the movie and all that stuff. The director, Paul Fagg. All that kind of stuff. All right, so the movie begins. Okay, we see Millie. Millie's our main character, played by Sydney Sweeney, who, by the way, is 28 years old in real life. Okay, she plays a woman named Millie Calloway, and she has a secret. We don't really know what the secret is yet. We find out later on. Okay, but she's on her way to. She's driving around in a rich, snowy suburban area in upstate New York. Okay, so it's one of those suburbs north of Manhattan. Okay, where all the rich people live. They all have their weekend houses in upstate New York, and then they have their penthouses and stuff in the city when they're working during the week. Okay, like the movie I reviewed last time, Baby Girl was like that. Okay, so there's some rich suburban upstate New York suburb. Okay, and she's looking for a house, and she finds it. Okay, it's a house with a big W on the front gate. It's got a security gate. Okay. With a W on it. Okay, and it's a small mansion. Okay, it's a huge house, but it's not. It's not like a manor, it's a mansion, but it's small. Okay, it's a small mansion. Okay, kind of like a chalet, but in the suburbs. Okay, and it's winter snow outside, snow everywhere. Okay, and we hear this chick music R&B because for some reason chick flicks they like to use R&B, even though there's no black people in this movie. They like to use chick R&B. Some Mary J. Blige or fucking whoever's the girl right now. Megan Thee Stallion or whoever the fuck is that? I don't care. Cardi B, whoever the fuck it is right now. I don't give two shits, to be honest with you. I don't follow that music. But they always do that. Why do they do that? To prove that they're not racist. Okay, they'll use black music, but they won't actually put black people in the movie. Okay, isn't that awesome how they do that? Okay, Anyway, so Millie gets there and she meets the woman that lives in this house. Her name is Nina Winchester. That's why there's a W on the front gate. It stands for Winchester. Okay, so Nina Winchester is played by a 40-year-old Amanda Seyfried, and clearly she's trying to be like someone in her 30s or 20s or late 20s. Okay, and we'll find out later on. Okay, they don't tell us her age, but clearly that's what she's trying to play. She's trying to play a woman who's probably around the same age, maybe a couple years older than Sydney Sweeney, but Sydney Sweeney is 28. Okay, and Amanda Seyfried is 40. Okay, so this is her comeback movie. Okay, because she hasn't really done shit in the past few, and nothing successful in the past few years. Okay, she was an It Girl back in the early 2000s. I remember her from Mamma Mia. I reviewed that movie on here. Mean Girls. She was one of the ditzy girls in that movie. I reviewed that here as well. So that's why I know her. I also saw her in Dear John. I'm gonna have to review that movie. That's the military romance movie with Channing Tatum and her. That's back when she was playing nice girls. Okay, but now she just plays these insufferable cunts. I think that started around 2013 or something. She did a movie where she portrayed the first major female porn star, Linda Lovelace. Yeah, she did a movie where she portrayed Linda Lovelace, and Linda Lovelace was this fucking whore. Okay, she was the first really famous porn star. Okay, back when the industry was new. I think she started doing porn in 1969 or something. Back when it was brand new. Okay, and she portrayed Linda Lovelace. I think when she started doing that, I think that was in 2012 or 2013, something like that. I think when she did that movie is when she quit playing nice girls and started playing these evil bitches that cheat on their husbands and stuff, and they're psychopaths and all that. They're all whores and stuff. She started doing that. Okay, but before that, she was the nice girl. Okay, so. So she's trying to cash in on that again. She's this psycho bitch here, okay? So anyway, we meet Nina Winchester. Okay, she interviews Millie for the position of housemaid. And Millie's wearing these glasses. Later on, we find out she does not need glasses. She just wore them because it makes her look more approachable, more caring or something like that. Okay, so already Millie is about not showing you who she really is. Okay? from the very beginning. On her resume, she says she has a college degree, okay, which we find out later on is bullshit, okay. Millie just moved back to New York from New England, okay, where I guess she went to college, okay, and she answers the questions very nervously, okay, because Nina is like looking at her resume and like, okay, so you did this, you went to college, you seem overqualified. I mean, you're a college graduate. You sure you want to be a housemaid? And why would you move back to New York from New England? All stuff like that. The job is cooking. She's applying for is for cooking, cleaning, and helping Nina with her 7-year-old daughter named Cece, which is short for Cecilia. Okay. Even though Nina is a stay-at-home fucking mom, she needs to hire a woman to help her with the cooking, cleaning, and taking care of her 7-year-old. Even though Nina Winchester is a stay-at-home mom. Okay. So Nina seems friendly but a little weird, like one of those, oh my God, like, oh my God, that is so wonderful, like that, your typical fucking fake bitch attitude, right? Okay. We find out they're talking about her husband. Her husband is in big tech. Obviously, he's a millionaire, so he can afford a house like this. Okay, but all we know about him is he's in big tech. Okay, of course, he's super wealthy. Okay, and when he gets there, when he shows up later on in the movie, he'll be super handsome too. We're talking ripped abs, shoulders. I mean, he's got a fucking wife beater surgically attached to his chest at all times. Okay, this guy is just like, he's just good looking and he's smart and he's kind and he's rich and he's ripped and he's tall and and he's smart, and he's like, get the fuck out of here, okay? How the fuck can this movie hate men so much when they only give us one type of guy? Here's what sucks. You fucking bitches out there, you watch this shit, you get all fucking emotional, and you start hating this guy for being such an asshole. And what do? You take it out on the fucking guys that are in your life. The guys that have nowhere near the looks, or the money, or the power, or the cock, or the abs, or the height, or the clothes, or any of that fucking shit that this guy has, and you take it out on him. All men are assholes. You see what I mean? That's the shit I'm fucking talking about. You watch shit like this and you take it out on every fucking guy in your fucking life. God forbid your boyfriend ever does something wrong. All of a sudden he's fucking Andrew Winchester now. Like, get the fuck out of here. God damn. All right, so that's going on here. Okay, Millie notices a tall, narrow spiral staircase in the house. Obviously, that's a message there. Okay, that's telegraphing right there. She takes a long look at this fucking spiral staircase. Okay, in the house. Okay, and of course, Nina Winchester says like, "Oh yeah, my God, I swear to God, someday I'm gonna fall off of these stairs and just die." Yeah. See what I mean? This is a bad story because obviously this is going to happen later in the movie, okay? Because they're mentioning it right now. One of the rules of filmmaking, if you show a gun in the first act, it better be fired by the third act, okay? So if you mention a dangerous staircase in the house and then someone comments about how easy it is to die falling off of that staircase, then clearly later on in the movie, someone's going to fall off the fucking staircase and die, okay? It's so fucking obvious. You're telegraphing the movie for me. Okay? That's not good storytelling. Okay? Okay, so anyways, this is going on here. Okay, Millie notices that spiral staircase, okay? They go downstairs. At the basement is Andrew, the owner of the house, Nina's husband, his man cave. He's got a man cave, all right? All right, which Millie is and Nina tells her, you're welcome to come down here and watch TV anytime that you want. There's liquor there. There's all sorts of fucking like encyclopedia books and like guess talismans and shit there. But that's Andrew's man cave, where I guess he watches, instead of watching sports, he watches fucking Family Feud episodes. Go fucking figure. He beats off to Richard Dawson. Okay, so that's going on here. Okay, she's welcome to use it because she's part of the family. Now she hasn't actually gotten the job yet. She's still interviewing. Okay, Nina's just showing her around, but she's already calling her part of the family. Okay, the house is mostly clean, so Nina asks Millie why she needs a housemaid to begin with. Okay, because she's a fucking stay-at-home mom. Her daughter's at school all fucking day, and her husband's at work all fucking day. So what the fuck else does she have to do? Okay, other than fucking cook and clean. Like what the fuck? And she needs help. So that's going on. Okay. Nina tells Millie that she's expecting soon. Ooh, but don't tell my husband because he doesn't know yet. Ooh, okay, so that's why, because pretty soon she won't be able to. Okay, now that makes a little bit more sense. Okay, but like I said, her husband doesn't know yet. Okay, Nina is wearing expensive beige clothes. That is something I noticed. Okay, her outfit's all beige. Beige sweater, beige skirt, white pearl necklace, all that stuff. Her hair is blonde, so she's just as white as you can fucking get. All right? Okay, Cece's room, they go into Cece's room. There's a big dollhouse in there, okay, with a mom and a dad and a little girl all sitting in the dollhouse table, okay? Okay, and they're all sitting at a table, so we zoom in on that. Okay, I guess that's supposed to be a metaphor for the family. You got the dad, the mom, and the little girl all together at the dinner table. Okay, Millie's bathroom. Turns out her bathroom is going to be not on the top floor, but next to the top floor, just underneath the attic. That floor right there, okay, has a bathroom in the hallway. That will be Millie's bathroom. Her actual room will be down the hall from the bathroom and then up 2 flights of stairs to get to this very private room with a very heavy oak wooden door. Okay, so she shows her. They walk up the staircase. All right, up to the attic room. It's in the attic. Her room is basically the attic. Okay, all right, and through a narrow staircase, it is a tiny room with a small triangular window that does not open. Okay, there's only one door to get in or out. It's a very heavy wooden door, and it has a lock on the outside. Okay? It has a key lock on the outside of the door. The deadbolt is activated from the outside of the door. And yes, Millie does notice that. Everybody noticed that. But for some reason, she's too afraid to bring that up because she doesn't want to risk losing this job. Are you fucking crazy? You see, and the movie doesn't explain this. Like, why would you go in there with this kind of like off-kilter woman showing you around, who's willing to hire you despite the fact that your resume is full of shit? Okay, if she hires you, that means she didn't fucking check out your background. And now she's showing you all this stuff, and now she's showing your room is going to be a little fucking dungeon with one window that does not open, and it's too small for you to crawl out of. I mean, at least not easily, at least. Okay? And then it's only one door in or out, a big heavy door, not even a door you can break down, that locks from the outside. Okay? That's a little fucking scary. Okay? And anybody would notice that. Anybody. So this is going on here. Okay? Like I said, it doesn't open. Okay, one door, one heavy wooden door to enter or exit. Okay, which has a lock on the outside. Obviously, the room is a dungeon, but Millie doesn't seem to mind. Okay, and if that isn't bad enough, Nina goes out her way to tell her, oh, by the way, you know what? You can play your music in this room as loud as you want because guess what? The room is soundproof. Now, you, as a normal human being, a normal woman, would you agree to this? You're in a room with in a house with a strange woman to do a job that clearly she doesn't need done. And they're going to put your bathroom is going to be like on the other side of the house. And your room is going to be up 2 flights of stairs through a door that locks from the outside. A door that you cannot break down. There's only one little window in there that you cannot fit through and it doesn't open. And the room is soundproof. Who the fuck in their right mind would agree to this? Nobody. Nobody. So Nina offers her $20. She tells her, I got to interview some other women, not just you, but here's $20 for driving, for gas money, for driving all the way over here. She tells Millie that she'll be in touch if she decides to hire her. And Millie, as she drives away from the house, she automatically believes that there's no way in hell that she will get hired, okay? Because of the things that I told you before. Everything on her resume is a lie. If Nina decides to do a background check, she's going to figure that out. She's also going to find some stuff about Millie that she didn't want Nina to know. Okay, so clearly she has no hope that she's getting the job. All right. She does one background check and she'll see that my resume is all a lie. Okay, and then she takes off the glasses because she doesn't need glasses. She just wore glasses because it made her seem more friendly. Okay, it turns out that she's living in her car. She actually has to use like a public bathroom in order to wash herself. Okay, brush her teeth and that kind of stuff. Wash her armpits and shit. She has to use a public bathroom, or she has to use the bathroom of some fucking burger joint that's there. Okay, and she sleeps in her car. That's where she lives. Okay. She uses the $20 that Nina gave her to buy herself something to eat at this very nice place called Rutt's Hut. Okay, which I guess is like a diner or something, right? Okay, and then after she pays for her meal, she asks for an application because she needs a job. That's how hard up she is for a job. She asks for an application. There's a "we're hiring" sign up there. Okay, so she asked them for the guy at the desk for an application. Okay, she has a blue-haired troll, one of those little fucking trolls, in her car. I guess it's important to her. It symbolizes something, or else we wouldn't be looking at it. On her dashboard, she has this blue-haired troll. Okay, she is awakened because, like I said, she's sleeping in the parking lot in her car. She gets awakened the next day by two cops that are tapping on her window. Okay, they tell her that she can't sleep there. Okay, and she can't sleep in a parking lot. Okay, and she gives them this bullshit excuse about how she was on her way to see her mom and she got tired, so she just pulled over and had a couple of winks. And then all of a sudden, Millie's phone starts ringing, so she tells the cop, "Oh my God, that's my mother right now. I got to answer this." That kind of thing, So that's going on. So she's a good bullshit artist, okay? What do you call it? Okay, it turns out when she answers the phone, it turns out it's Nina. And Nina has decided to offer her the job of housemaid at her house. Okay, so Millie agrees to start that afternoon. So now she's excited. Oh my God, I got a job. Ah! We still don't know what she's hiding. We don't know what she's lying about yet. We don't know what's in her background or anything. We'll get to that later. Okay, but clearly she's excited that she got this job. We know she's a bullshitter. Okay, we know that that she's living in her car. She has no means. That $20 is all the money she fucking had. Okay, so she's in a desperate situation. I can understand that and I get that. Okay, I get that. Okay, but realistically, a woman that looks like her would have no problem making money. Okay, she can go to a titty bar right fucking now, and they will fucking hire her, and she'll make $1,000 on her first night. So don't give me that bullshit that she's desperate. Okay, the women that this situation would be, if you got like a woman who's like 40 years old or something, out of shape, unattractive. Okay, yes, a woman like that will probably be sleeping in her car. Okay, but not some hot ass sexy bitch like Sydney Sweeney. Okay, she would be working at a titty bar, all right, making a shitload of fucking money and getting drunk. Okay, that's what she would be doing. Okay, so right there, you cannot believe. I cannot believe this at all. Okay, any woman desperate like that who looks like her, okay, would make a shitload of money off of that. It beats having to work for real. Okay, it beats cleaning houses, that's for sure. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna stop my review right here, but I'll be back to continue my review of The Housemaid. I thank you very much for watching this long, and I will see you soon on the next one. Bye.